The critical skill set of seeing bad differently. This is an important topic. You see, life has its ups and downs. There's no escaping that. Things will happen. And those things sometimes will be experienced by me and by you as bad, embarrassing, difficult, unfair, a whole bunch of stuff that is just not very nice to experience. But here's the question. How long do I have to stay in that place? You see, the events itself, whatever happened is what happened, but it is my judgment and my emotions about the event that gives me my flavor of it, good, bad, or otherwise. And it's very easy just to accept the bad as bad and that this was something that shouldn't have happened. And that is what I'm forced to do if I do not have any skill sets and mindsets about what these events in my life and my emotional experience about them actually mean. Let's have a look at an example. So over the weekend, I'm at this property conference. We're looking at a building that's getting built. They're at 5 or 6 stories of 25. They're speaking of this building as an iconic Gold Coast building, that it is going to be an epic experience and that it has gone up in value maybe $300,000 to $400,000 over 2 years. Now, we didn't buy. My wife and I didn't buy. We were going to buy. We had paperwork. We had trust set up. But for whatever reason, we didn't sign. So I don't know how that makes you feel. $300,000, $400,000. Now, yes, if you sell, you've got to pay tax and all that sort of stuff. So let's say it was still $250,000. Like, this was a pretty big thing. I'm like, far out. This is not much fun to experience this. And over the weekend, I found myself awake at 2 a.m. and I went to a particular tool that I have called the stack to process it, but it still came up. And then this morning, I'm looking at it and I'm thinking, you know what? If this happened and the results that I got were not the results that I wanted, what needs to change? And so seeing it from, instead of a bad event where there's a $400,000 or $250,000 loss, instead it's like, okay, this happened. What do I now do? What needs to change in my life? What were the decisions that happened for us to say yes, no, freak out at the final signing? And of course, if we had a time machine, go back and definitely sign on and make the money. But I don't have a time machine. You don't have a time machine. And these life events, I mean, literally, I could spend the next 2, 3, 6, 12 months regretting this situation and stewing in that, letting it totally affect my entire life, ruining something that I have zero ability to change, and missing out on the critical thing, which is what needs to change so this doesn't happen again. And when I got to it, I was like, okay, well, hang on. The purchase of an investment property is a system. It's certain steps that have to be done in order to make a yes-no decision on should we proceed or should we not. And then when that yes is made, there's further steps to secure it. And if those had been done, then it could have been a very different experience. We could have gone back and gone, no, this is why we're buying. Here are the numbers. Here's the maths. Here's the advice. Proceed. But instead, emotion came in. And my wife, I found out, was listening to multiple podcasts on property. And not everyone agrees with this strategy. And so there was a competing voice, and that wobbled her enough. And I wasn't strong enough and definitive enough because I didn't have the data to hand and go, no, this is the numbers. This is where this is going. This is what this is going to mean for our family. But here's the important part. If I change nothing in my world, then I will continue to experience this and buy investment properties that we shouldn't and let go of ones that we should hold. But this is the same in your life as well. The investment property is everything in your life. It's the way that you service your car. It's the way you see patients. It's the way you do your money. It's the way you interact with your spouse. All of these are system structures that are playing out over and over and over. And when you get a bad, in inverted commas, result, that does not mean bad. That means that something is off from what you want. You got a result. And if you don't care what that result is, then there's no requirement to change anything. But if you do care about that result and it's not the result that you got, then you have to look at the steps that got done to create that result and change them. This is not easy. This is project management. This is standard operating procedures, of which you most likely had zero training in medical school. And we see this play out over and over and over in medicine. And we've got away with it for so long because bulk billing has allowed us an endless supply of patients. And we'll probably still get away with it because now there's so much demand for medicine. However, I want you to appreciate that even though there is all of this demand, that the consequences of system failures can be very severe. And life often will give warning signs that there's a problem. And if you ignore those, and if you choose not to do anything about these bad events, then it is possible that you will get a severe outcome. This has happened to me. I was unaware of our lack of processes around what happens when one doctor gets pissed off at another doctor. And that was happened. And it was exposed that we were grossly unprepared for this. And this is not a unbelievable experience that one doctor would get pissed off at another. This can happen in your workplace. What's your procedure? What's your procedure for changing bank details? We covered this previously. Can you just email your practice manager and get them to change your bank details? If you can, you are at severe risk of having your money diverted to a scammer. If they hack your account, or they spoof your account, or they even just call up and AI your voice, that's going to be possible in future. It's like, whoa, maybe we need some safeguards around how we do systems in medicine. But before any of that can happen, you've got to be able to see the bad as an opportunity and have a process that you implement when these bad events happen so that you can change what needs to be changed and ensure that you get a different and better result next time. Don't miss the opportunity. Don't spend 6 months regretting something that happened in the past, but do take the lesson and do take the action. And you must have a system for doing that, a tool for doing that. If that's something that you can see the value in, if you're interested in this, then you need to head over to Graduate Medicine and sign up for the clinical certainty training. This is part of your clinical certainty, your ability to look at the events with patients, with family, with yourself, extract out the lessons and get results that are better and improved from what would be possible if you either ignore the situation or you do not have any structure for this. Head over to GraduateMedicine.com, click on the button for clinical certainty. Thank you.